Good evening, SM viewers. This is Satellite Media. If you are new to the channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and please do not forget to hit the notification bell. We are trying to do a paper analysis, a paper review about the happenings in Nigeria and, of course, and globally. We understand that currently the governor of Enugu State and, of course, the governor of Bayelsa State may be defecting to APC from all indication, because from the information available, those two governors are already planning to defer to APC. So from what we can understand, we'll be bringing you the major headline today as we go further into this conversation. So I'll be allowing you to see what is happening currently. But let me quickly go to the major headlines for the day so that we take it up from there. And starting from Vanguard newspaper. The major headline have it that it say Habini Palace shut down a year. Okay, yes, that is how to do a year larger politics in Edo markets. Remember that before now, we had a situation where the Tinubu's daughter wanted to install a Yaloja general in Edo State. As we have it, the monarch, talking about the Oba himself, was emphatic that Iyaloja general is alien to Edo State. Though they have the Iyeki, but even the concept of Iyeki, according to the Oba, they don't have any Iyeki general. Because according to the Oba, all the Iyekis in the different markets are independent of each other. No one lord it over the other. But apart from that, let us look at the major headline as we have it. This one is saying Diri. Of course, we all know Diri. When we talk about Diri, we are talking about the Bayelsa State governor. He said to join APC. When he said that before now, we had a situation where it had been touted that the Enugu State governor will be defecting to APC. And as we have it, the APC, or rather, yes, have made it clear that barring any moment delay, that the man, Peter Mbah of Enugu State, will be joining their party perhaps by Tuesday next week. We are watching as that unfold, but we understand that currently we already have an INEC nominee, talking about the chairman, who will shortly, in any time from now, face Senate screening. Once he's screened and confirmed, he will be inaugurated and he becomes the substantive INEC chairman. But let us equally look at other major headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. This one I'm talking about. Okay, let me quickly go into the. Okay, let me go to the Punch newspaper. The major headline here is saying Mbah's planned APC defection tears Enugu PDP apart. That is that for that. We shall look into that in details. But this is what I'm talking about certificate scandal. He said how President Tinubu ordered minister's resignation. We understand that that minister has since resigned. That was embroiled in certificate scandal. But currently, he have already resigned. This is what I'm talking about. He said universities, Nigerian police in NYC fraud. This is not the first time we are seeing this. I think under the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, we had a situation where we had the issue of Nigerians who often go to Benin Republic to obtain degree. As at the time, it was discovered that most of them are involved in scandal. But as we have it, it's like it's rearing its head again. Okay, let us equally look at the other areas. But our major focus is the issue that has to do with Jonathan going to visit the man Tinubu for Nnamdi Kanu'S case. I think that was revealed by, of course, the man Shure, who we understand visited a Jonathan. We understand that in the recent time, a Jonathan, or rather a Shure, have been in the vanguard of trying to get the government attention to the plight of the man Nnamdi Kanu'S. But let me quickly bring this to your attention. But this is a tweet by Sahara Reporter. He said, watch, Shure meets Jonathan for support over Nnamdi Kanu'S. Ex-president promises to engage Tinubu on IPOB leaders' case. So the point here is, we understand that the issue involving Nnamdi Kanu'S have gotten international attention recently, particularly because of the plight of his health. Because as we speak, it's on record that Nnamdi Kanu'S himself have raised issue bordering on his health. We understand that as at this last count, the court itself have already asked the Nigerian Medical Association to form a team, of course, medical team, to verify his health status. And as we have it, the court is waiting for that health status. But beyond that, we have seen a situation where Nigerians from different walks of life have been calling on federal government to use a political solution to resolve that travail. Because currently we have a situation where, even in the past, the senators from the region, talking about Southeastern region, under the leadership of Senator Ina Abaribe, met with the federal government through the office of the Attorney General of the Federation. And the message was a political solution to Nnamdi Kanu'S travail. Beyond that, we have equally seen, of course, the minority caucus in the House of Rep asking for the same political solution. We have equally seen UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention admonishing Nigerian government to release the man Nnamdi Kanu'S. Beyond that, we have seen American descent of American military, of Igbo descent, drumming support for the release of the same man Nnamdi Kanu'S. And before then, we have seen a situation where Court of Appeal in Nigeria, before now, ruled that Nnamdi Kanu'S was extraordinary rendition as such that he should be released. Though federal government appealed that judgment, and in the wisdom of Supreme Court, they added the judgment, or rather the case should start de novo. I think that is where we are, where the case is now before Justice James Omotosho, where the stakeholders are now seeking for a political solution. But I think we have equally seen a situation where, of course, even the Kenya court ruled that the manner Nnamdi Kanu'S was brought to Nigeria was illegal. As such, they find those who were complicit in his rendition. But let us equally look at this thing from the angle of, why do people agitate? Talking about the southeastern part of the country this time around, because we understand that the southeastern part of the country have seriously been marginalized over the years. And I want to believe that if we want to see a reduction in terms of agitation, there's every need for people, or rather the government, to address most of those areas that make people feel not interested in Nigeria as an entity. But currently, we understand that it is only the southeastern part of the country that is having 5 states. Every other region have at least 6 states. For me, I think there's every need to balance it. Good thing, we have a situation where the current senator representing Delta North Senatorial District in the Senate, talking about Senator Nnamdi, is proposing a state creation from Delta State, talking about Anyama State. And his proposal is proposing that that state should be added to the eastern part of the country to make it up to, of course, 6 states in the region. But I want to believe that it is good we address some of those things. But let us give attention to the issue that has to do with this defection, because we understand that in Nigeria political landscape, the governors of a state have a lot to do when it comes to election proper. Talking about the general election, we understand that we are having another general election in 2027. And as we have it, the policy of 2027 is already taking shape. Because currently we have a situation where some governors already defected to APC. These are governors who were elected on the platform of PDP. Talking about Delta State, a situation where the governor, talking about Sheriff Obore, emptied all the structure of PDP into APC. We are seeing a similar situation in Akwa Ibom State, where Governor Uno defected to APC. And as we have it, though it has been touted before now that the Enugu State governor, talking about the man, Peter Mbah, will defect to APC. But as we have it currently, information have it that he may defect on this by Tuesday next week. And before the dust of that will settle down, we are having a situation where even Diri, the governor of Bayelsa State, we're having a report here that he's likely going to defect to APC. But the question here is, why are we seeing this level of defection? I understand that the constitution do not outrightly bar any executive governor from defecting, but it is only the legislative arm of government, like the senators, House of Rep members, of course, House of Assembly members, that the constitution says that if they defect and there is no crisis in their party, to the extent that their party is factionalized, that they do not know the actual fashion to go with. Of course, that is the only proviso upon which they are allowed to defect, talking about the legislative members. But in terms of the executive arm of government, there is no law restricting them from defecting. But the question is, I'm of the view that it is good we amend some relevant sections of our constitution to ensure that people do not start defecting the manner we are seeing. Because if care is not taken, we are likely going to see a one-party state anytime soon. Because if eventually the governor of Enugu defects, and maybe the governor of Bayelsa defects, you'll be talking about 4 governors that have defected within a short period of 1 year. What does that mean for the image of Nigeria as a country that runs democracy? What does that mean for the image of the opposition political parties? Though, when it comes to election proper, naturally, it is the electorates that votes. But what we are saying is the governors have a lot to do in shaping the election when it comes to general election. But I'm even of the view that it is even time we review our electoral acts, particularly section 82, that deals with the mode of transmission of election results. Because understand that before the election of 2023, Nigerian stakeholders were of the view that there's every need to rejig the electoral acts, to remove the power of discretion from INEC, to enable INEC transmit election results electronically. But as we have it, before that election, the electoral act was reviewed and INEC was given the liberty to determine the mode of transmission of election results. Before the 2023 presidential election, of course, INEC came up with their guideline and they made the Nigerians, to know that they were going to transmit election results electronically. But surprisingly, at the nick of time, they reneged and they gave excuse of network glitch. That is because they had the discretion to determine the mode of transmission of election results. But after the election, we had a situation where Nigerians, political parties, were dissatisfied with the process of collation. As such, PDP, Labour Party went to court, and their candidates, talking about P2B and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, went to court to challenge that result. But as we have it today, Supreme Court has since legitimized the election, or rather the result of INEC as declared by the result of the election as declared by INEC. But the question is, in 2027, we are going to another round of election. Are we saying that electoral act is still okay for another round of election, or there's a review? Because personally, I'm of the view that there should be a review of the electoral acts to engender credibility. Because the whole essence of election is to ensure that people test their popularity. I'm equally of the view that when it comes to election management, that the agencies that manage the election, I understand that the police is involved, GSS is involved, even the military is involved. I'm of the view that we review most of those processes, particularly when it comes to how you prosecute offenders of the law during the election. Because currently we understand that after election we seldom see the agencies, authorities prosecuting those who were arrested or who were arrested during the election for maybe ballot snatching, ballot stuffing, maybe voter suppression, and all of that. Because if we are not prosecuting offenders of the law, it will burden other people to commit crime, to undermine the process. And that should have to do with how who have the responsibility to prove that election was rigged or not. Because currently we understand that the burden of proof lies with the petitioner. Meaning if you allege that the election did not substantially comply with the Electoral Act as a candidate of a party in an election, you petition, the burden of proof lies on you. But what I'm saying as a person is that it's good we review some of our laws to remove the burden of proof from the petitioner and place it on the umpire. Talking about the INEC this time. Because the umpire is the one that conducts the election, is the end user of the Electoral Act. And apart from that, the umpire is the one that houses all the electoral materials, all the relevant documents that are needed to prosecute a case in electoral tribunal, as the case may be. And as we have it, there are so many instances in the past where a petitioner will be lamenting of his or her inability to access some of the documents needed to prosecute his case or her case in electoral tribunal or in court, as the case may be. But the question is, if INEC is the one that the discretionary that the burden of proof to prove that election was rigged or that election did not comply or rather substantially complied to Electoral Act, that way I think they will be more responsible in making sure that they do the right thing. But let me quickly say that the whole essence of having free, fair, and credible election cannot be overemphasized. Because one thing is certain, if we do election that is free, fair, and credible, I want to say that those that come out through the process will be responsible to the people. They'll be responsible to the people because they will know that the people, you can only get to the position through the ballots. And that if you are not doing people's-oriented projects, that you are not likely going to get their support subsequently. So it's going to show that if they do the right thing, they will, if they get to the office through the ballot, they will be responsible to the people. They will try to do people's-oriented projects. They will try to bring the dividends of democracy to the people. But if they know that there's a way they can perpetuate themselves into power through the back door, perhaps by rigging, of course, their allegiance will be to those who help them to rig the election. That's why we must try to get it right in terms of the process of getting into office. That it must be through the ballot and the ballot only. Now, let us equally look at when it comes to who sponsor a candidate in an election. In Nigeria currently, it is only political parties that have the right, the power to sponsor anyone into elected position. But the question here is, all the major political parties, the money they place on their nomination forms and expression of interest forms is too high. That if you don't have deep pockets, you may not be able to contest election in those political parties. Talking about the PDP, the APC, even the ADC as we have it currently. Their nomination form for president, for governors, for House of Assembly, House of Rep, Senate will be too high. That if you don't have deep pockets, you may not be able to contest on their platform. So that's why I'm of the view that let us equally amend some relevant sections of our constitution to allow for independent candidacy. Because there are some instances where you have some persons who are popular in their jurisdiction, in their constituency. But because they don't have the wherewithal in terms of deep pocket to contest election, they may not contest. But if you have a situation where independent candidacy is allowed, I want to say that with or without deep pockets, the person can stand the election and test his popularity. So I'm of the view that that should be given a priority attention, because let me say that we must get it right as a people, because there's no better way to say it. We have to get it right in terms of how we bring people into elective position. Let us quickly look at this issue that has to do with, because from the headline of Punch, of course, uh, yes, this one is talking. No, this one is Vanguard. We are looking at the appointment of INEC chairman. We understand that the Council of States are giving nod to the appointment or nomination of someone. Talking about Professor Amupita, because currently it is in the realm of nomination. I will understand that the Council of State, their role is merely advisory. But hence, the man have been nominated. It means they are giving their advice, and the president himself have actually nominated someone. But let me quickly say that he's not yet the INEC chairman. It is until there is a screening by the Senate, he's confirmed, before he is now sworn in as the substantive INEC chairman. But I want to say that from the information that came from one of the presidential spokesman, talking about the, I think it's Diri, if I'm not mistaken, that the new INEC chairman have a Herculean task in his hands, talking about how to build confidence. We understand that currently the public do not have confidence in the ability of INEC to conduct free, fair, and credible election. I must say that INEC should be seen to be should not just be seen to be independent, it must be truly independent. That is why I expect the new INEC chairman, when sworn in, to pursue some policies that will make Nigerians rekindle confidence in INEC. For instance, I'm of the view that the funding of INEC should be first line charge. First line charge in the sense that let us go to the constitution to reward the constitution to the extent that there will be a provision that says the funding of INEC must come from a particular source, not going cap in hand to the executive to source of fund. We understand that they say he who pays the piper dictates the tone. I want to believe that that is somehow the situation of INEC, because currently the executive is one that funds the INEC, and until they win themselves from the executive by way of having direct funding in terms of first line charge, I want to believe that it will be difficult for INEC to be truly independent. Because we understand that in Nigeria, any lacuna you see in the system in terms of the law, Nigerian politicians will always lash on it. That is why I always advocate amendment of some relevant sections of the Constitution to ensure that we reduce human interference. Because anywhere you have human interference, anywhere you have lacuna, Nigerian politicians will always lash on it. That is the truth. Let us equally look deeper into another area that has to do with this time around. Okay. Okay, I think this is the issue of Nigerians going abroad to obtain, degrees that is not where they are often cut corners. I think the authorities should look into it properly, because it's not good for our economy. Because for you to be able to fit into the economy, you must be able to build your human capital. So it's not good that someone will cut corner at the end of the day, come back to the country and pretend to have obtained a degree, whereas the person may not have actually have attended such school. I think it's something that the government must give a priority attention. Then let us go to another paper. I think this time around we shall be looking at what the Tribune is saying. Their big headline is saying Nigerians will defeat APC in 2027. That is coming from PDP. Let us look at the rider. It says it won't be distracted by defecting governors. I must say that the PDP have cause to worry. Test new INEC boss to end era of inconclusive elections. But let me say that it doesn't matter the opinion of PDP at this level. PDP have every reason to worry because you cannot tell me that you are losing your governors to another political party and you are saying it doesn't matter. It matters. How can you tell me that in a space of just a year, you are having about 3 governors or even 4 governors defecting to another political party? I think it's a major blow to PDP. Because whether we like it or not, it is going to deplete the ability of PDP to win election in Nigeria. But the question is, why are we seeing this level of defection? Does it mean the government or Senator Bola Tinubu, or rather the APC government, they are getting it right in terms of solving Nigerians' problems? Because in some quarters, there are some school of thought that believe that what is happening is merely intimidation. That those who are defending are being intimidated. But the question is, even if you face intimidation, they say clear conscience fears no accusation. Because I understand that in some cases there are allegations that some of them will be threatened that the government may decide to dodge their file if they have issues with federal government or with anti-graft agencies like EFCC, ICPC, and maybe drag them to court. But the question here is, just like I said, that clear conscience fears no accusation. If you know you don't have any skeleton to hide, it doesn't matter the level of intimidation, it doesn't matter the level of hounding, I don't think someone will give in to it. Because I'm particularly surprised seeing the manner these governors are defected to APC. Because these are people who, in their political journey, started with PDP. PDP perhaps gave them all they have in terms of, if you look into their criteria, if you look into their profile, into their resume, all they got is through PDP. So how can somebody just wake up as somebody who perhaps in all his political journey started perhaps as a local government chairman, at some point he was a commissioner, maybe 2-3 times commissioner in a state, at some point he was a senator under PDP, at some point he was a governor, don't wake up suddenly and defect to APC. I think it calls for, maybe there are something the public do not know, that these people who are defecting need to tell the public. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a very big issue. Let us look at this Osun local government crisis. He's saying council funds intact with us. That is coming from UBA's lawyer as it tests court. Let me quickly say that we understand that there is a court judgment in Nigeria by Supreme Court that granted local government autonomy. By extension, that says that the local governments will be receiving their fund from the federal government directly. We understand that before now, we had a situation where, of course, the local governments get their fund through the state government, or rather through the accountant general of the state. Each time they go to Abuja to collect the revenue of the state, they equally collect what belongs to them and collect on behalf of the local government. But after that judgment, we understand that the local government are supposed to be having their funding directly. But I want to believe that the issue of Osun State, the federal government is not interested, intending to use federal might against them. But hence, the matter is in court. I think we have to wait for the court to actually deliver judgment in all of this. But let me quickly address one issue that involves or that affects all the major political parties, particularly PDP and APC. I want to believe that, I don't know whether Labour Party is already involved, because currently Labour Party is only governing just one state. But what I want to address is this. It is irrespective of who is in office as governor. Because I've seen this happen in many states, not just one state, not just 2 states. Because if somebody wins election as a governor, you meet elected local government chairman. Why do you often sack them? I've seen this